So, I click on the new button to create a new job. The most important thing when you're in the new job screen is making sure that you have the right style, always, because the style tells DigiTran and SpeechCAT how to format the text. So it's really important, especially if you're a real-time writer, to always be sure that you have the right style. So we pick the style that we want to use, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick a Louisiana court style, and I'm going to call it Court Day. And it's important that we have our speakers, though in both DigiTran and SpeechCAT, you can also put speakers in the recording screen or in the real-time screen. So I'm going to put the court, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney, and I'll probably have to do it again once I get in. So I just click on apply. I can click on OK to close the new job window, or I can just click on record to go straight to the record screen. I'm not going to go there because first I want to talk about sound setup. I'm going to click on OK here. The sound setup is the most important thing to have right when you're talking about doing digital recording. So we're going to go there first. Everything that we see here has to do with sound cards, external and internal. Internal meaning an internal sound card that's inside your computer itself, or a USB audio device which is outside of your computer, external to your device and connected, generally speaking, to your mask. But this is my Pure Audio SA. It has a pink and a green port. The microphone, which is the mask or an external mic, always goes into the pink port. What is the green port for? The green port is actually a line out, meaning it's a headset port. So if something happens to your sound card of your computer, which is what you normally listen through, that's the hole on the side of your computer. If something happened to the sound card, which that can happen if you catch a surge through an electrical line, it can blow your battery, it can blow your sound card, it can blow many things. But the battery is generally first and the sound card second. Generally, they go together. It depends on the way, the configuration of your computer and how they protect them. But those two devices are the things that are going to go first. Well, if your sound card goes out and you can't listen via your sound card, you could actually plug a headset into here or external speakers even and listen via this device. However, you would have to tell your computer that you want to listen through the Andrea Pure Audio device. How do you do that? Well, at the bottom of your screen, and let me make sure that you're seeing the screen, the right screen, because I am using two, and the sound only appears on one. So right here on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you are seeing the time. That's what everybody's used to seeing, the time and the date. And then if you move over one to the left, that's the speaker. And this is the way it looks in the current version of Windows 10 Professional, where you'll see the bar for loudness, but then right above it, you see what is it that you're listening from right now. I am listening from the Realtek high definition audio. That's the sound card of the computer. Every computer has a sound card. Now, if I click on this little up arrow here, you'll see every device that's plugged into your computer that is capable of playing sound. So if I selected the pure audio USB SA, which is what this is, and I plugged my headset into the green port, then I could listen from this device in the exact same way I listen to the internal sound card. That's not what I want, so I'm going to switch it back to the Realtek high definition audio, but that's sort of always a good to know, right? So now that we are in the sound setup, we need to determine what USB devices we're going to use for what. I use the Sound Blaster Play 3 for my voice. So my mask is actually plugged into the Sound Blaster Play. So I call that the voice track. Let's make sure you're looking at it. I want you to look at it. So here, the voice track. I guess the very first thing we need to say is how many channels do we want? I want one channel for my voice and 2 room channels. So I just make sure that the little number here is 3. And then over here in the first line, I identify my tracks. So my first track is going to be my voice track. I am using the Sound Blaster Play 3 as my voice track, and that has to be mono 16-bit, 11.025 mono 16-bit. It has to be mono in order for Dragon to like reading the file. And so it's important that the first track is a mono track. So my second track is going to be room mic 1. I am going to be using a mic that I bought from Pingad at convention, and it's plugged into the Pure Audio SA, and it is way hot. So I need to bring the volume down so that it's not bouncing in the red, because it's really loving being in the Pure Audio. And then for my room mic 2, I'm going to just use the internal sound card. So that's a microphone on the keyboard that is just going to pick up whatever's around me with me plugging nothing into it. And I've got that set as a mono track too. The only time you ever set anything as a stereo track is when you are using a splitter. And it specifically has to be a stereo splitter, meaning you are taking 2 microphones, 2 different microphones, and you are recording 2 channels, 1 on each different mic. So they're going to record differently. There are different kinds of splitters. There are also mono splitters that literally take 2 microphones and merge them into 1 channel. So it's important that you know whether it's a stereo or a mono splitter, and you always know that by this very end right here. I don't know if I'm holding it up enough, but it has 2 lines on it, right? And so the 2 lines are telling you that it is a stereo device. Normally, if a device is not stereo, it will have 1 circle on the end. Most of my devices are stereo. I don't have an example, but I'm sure that you've all got earbuds that work with your telephone, and you'll notice that your earbuds have 3 circles. When it has 3 circles, it means that it can put out in stereo and it can record. So 3 circles on the plug-in tells you that it's a microphone and a headset. This is just a stereo splitter. Okay, So a little equipment knowledge there for you. Normally you can plug a mono device into a stereo device, but you can't plug a stereo device into a mono device. Most devices that you find now are going to be stereo. It's harder to find mono devices. Most people aren't even looking for them anymore. So most everything you can assume is going to be stereo. But look for the rings and it'll tell you the rest of the tale. Once you have set the input devices by the name of the USB audio devices, the way they're seen in Windows, you want to click on apply, and then it's going to start showing you bouncing bars. The very first bar is not bouncing because it's my mouse. So in order to test, what we do is we click on the red dot and then we speak. The first I'm going to speak into my mask, then I'm going to speak into the room, then I'm going to show you how we play. Okay, so I only tested the mask in that situation. So right beneath where it says named and voice track, there's a little right facing arrow. Beneath every channel, there's a right facing arrow. So in order to hear that channel, you want to click on that arrow. So let's listen. Okay, so my hard of hearing cell cannot hear that, but very likely. And so one of the things that I have is a USB speaker. And I'm going to see if it's... There we go. I'm going to listen again through that. So I need to rewind and listen. I'm just going to go ahead and make it louder because it's just too little for me to hear. Now I'm going to test the room. So I'm going to click on record again. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm testing the room microphones. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm going to click on the red record button to stop. And now I'm going to go to room mic 1. And I'm going to hit play. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm testing the room microphones. Testing, testing. This is a test. That could be louder in my opinion, so I raised it. I'm going to rewind, and I'm going to listen to room mic 2 now. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm testing the room microphone. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm going to click on the red record button. Okay, that sounds awful. So I'm going to use something else. What am I going to use? So that was the internal mic. Okay, so I've got my Sound Blaster, my Samsung Go mic. So let's see if I can plug that in. That was 16 good sound. In order to have it appear now, I need to click on apply. And I'm right back in. And now I should be able to see my Samsung Go mic, and I can. So I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to record again. Testing, testing. This is a test. I'm testing the live room. This is a test of the live room.
Again, testing, testing. This is a test. I'm testing the live room. This is a test of the live room.
Okay, beautiful. So that track sounds good.
Again, testing, testing.
That track sounds good. One more test of my mouse. Okay, I like that better. So now I've got a configuration that I like. You lost the feet on my face. Everything that we want in our sound settings.
Yes. Okay, good. All right, so what we do to actually save a configuration is we click on the very second icon, which if you point to it will say save as new configuration. And this is mask for me, room 1 and 2. Sometimes you can be more specific. For me, like specifically, it's mask. If I wanted to be descriptive, I'm using my mask, which never changes, with my SB Play 3. I am using the Pure Audio SA with the I'm going to call it the PinGad mic, and that's room 1, and the Samsung as room 2. So that's more descriptive for me, and I'll click on OK, and now you can see that my current configuration is here. You can have different configurations. Some people, for instance, let's say that you wanted to do, that you were having a small hearing and you wanted everyone to be on one channel so that you could see if Dragon would transcribe it. If that was the case, you would want to have a configuration where all you had was a room mic 1, and attached to that room mic 1 was maybe the Pure Audio SA, and you might have microphones daisy chained to that CM1000. So you might be using a CM1000 that has 4 other mics plugged into it and spread around the room so that it's in front of every speaker. And all of it is going into one pure audio SA in the pink port, so that all those microphones and all that audio is being merged onto one channel. Because if it's not one channel, Dragon won't read it all. And so you'd have to have a configuration like that if you ever wanted to try that automated speech recognition for your own interests. So in order to do that, you would have to have a different configuration than the configuration I would have now. That configuration would be far more simple. I would just simply remove 2 channels and use only the voice track as the pure audio SA, because that's what all of my mics would be plugged into. And I would just save that as, oh, I have to do apply first. Then I would save that as my ASR via pure, I call it a PASA, pure audio SA. And CM 1000 daisy chain. Okay, that way, if I was going to do that day, I'd just come in and say, okay, well, let me load the configuration that I want. Do I want my mask or do I want my ASR configuration? Well, I want my mask, so I'm going to do load. And it automatically brought everything back to where it was for that configuration. Now, all you need to remember is one thing when you're changing configuration. You have to make sure everything for that configuration is plugged in. And it has to be plugged in the same place every single time. So just remember that if you're using one device for multiple purposes, you shouldn't move the device. That device should always stay in the same USB port. You may just assign it a different channel name or number. That's perfectly acceptable to do. So we now know how to identify the USB audio devices on a line and to decide what we're going to call them. And we've also tested all of those channels using the red record button, the play button that is beneath every channel, the rewind button in order to listen again on a different channel. You'll notice that the black and the blue numbers are the same as they always are. The black number is the amount of total record time. The blue number is where your playback is right now. So if your playback is set at 0 and you recorded for 19 seconds, it's going to play back the whole of the 19 seconds if it starts from the blue numbers. When you're done, you simply close and you are returned to the main menu. Now that you have your configuration set, you can go and record. Remember that your configuration does not need to be checked every time you go into the program. Your configuration really should never bother you unless one of your devices is going out. Then you'll receive a notice that says, please run sound setup. So from DigiTran, we click on the red record button to actually go into DigiTran. Okay, recorded. Here we go. You have to select the right job, then click on record, which I thought I did. Record. DigiTran won't go to record. Records here. Okay. Okay, so okay, we have an ability to record to different drives. So I have an internal hard drive and I have 2 external hard drives. And I must have one of my programs set. Looks like I have SpeechCAT set to record onto an external device. So if I don't have that device connected, it won't go into record. That's a situation. So now that I have it plugged in, here I am in record. Now, those of you who are SpeechCAT customers will recognize this screen that you see on the left side of the real-time screen. Those of you who are DigiTran only customers will recognize this as your primary recording screen. This is such a powerful program. It's so easy and straightforward, and yet so powerful. The first thing I do when I get into DigiTran is click on the keypad icon up here at the top. And that brings up my numeric keypad. And a numeric keypad appears on the right side of your screen. This is an extra keyboard I have just to illustrate that this is a numeric keypad. On your laptop, on your laptop or an external keyboard that you might plug in, you must have a numeric keypad in order to use it to mark with. That's a numeric keypad. Some of us have them on our laptops, some of us don't. I have it on my big laptop, not on my small one. So when you don't have the numeric keypad on the right side of your screen, no worries. We resort to the seating chart. Okay, the seating chart is also way cool. It's very visual. A lot of people like that. So the seating chart, again, you open it up by this fancy little person at a desk icon here. And it opens up and it's completely blank. So what you want to do first is open a chart file. So that is the 1, 2, 3, 4th button. And I have made a lot of default charts. Michelle has also made a few default charts. These are all available to you. If you'd like them, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to share them with you. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll trade you. You can select as little as 4 people around a desk, or you can go straight to something that is more court friendly, because you guys in court really, you really get it for the voir dire and stuff. So we've done, this is, I created a AAERT jury trial seating chart. I'm going to open one of those. So you can see that it is a little complex. It's got a little more speakers than a simple depot one would have. But these two screens can also work together to do some things. For instance, I have my numeric keypad set up right now to mark speaker 1 as the court. When I want you to notice that in the seating chart, everything says speaker sample text. None of these speaker names are reflected here, right? Now I'm going to save to the job. Look what happens. You see that? Speaker 1 is set to the court. Speaker 2 is set to the prosecutor. Speaker 3, the defense attorney. And that's all that I have. Let's see, I want to put the witness as speaker 4. I can do that. I'm going to hit tab and save it to the job again. Oh, why is it not? Oh, that's speaker 8. Here's speaker 4. Now, if I wanted speaker 8 to be filled in or speaker 5 to be filled in, I just need to make sure to put a representation for one of them over here. I might say, okay, speaker 5 is going to be child advocate. And you can see that it's pink. When it's pink, it means that it hasn't been saved yet. I'm going to hit enter. Okay. I can't open something. I always have to start a new file. If I have to start a new, does that make sense? Yes. If I exit, I have to start a new. It does make sense, Kim. That might be a default set to record only, or it may be the version. So let me make a note that in DigiTran itself, so DigiTran Pro, do you know what version? If you click on Help and About from your DigiTran main menu, it should tell you what version you're running. Would you put that in the chat for me? Cannot record, cannot return to a recorded doc and add to it. Okay. How do you save the numeric keypad assignments? Okay, that's a great question, Kim. I think that it is possibly the version that determines whether or not it can be saved. But I will look. Did you figure out your version yet? Not yet? No? Okay, no big deal. I can always dial in when we're done with the class and update you. Make sure you have the latest version. Sounds good? And nice and simple. Okay, so now that we have created our seating chart, I just want to show you that some of the seating charts we create, they may not be right for your courtroom. I draw your attention to the lower right-hand corner of the seating chart, you see the word very lightly, unfortunately. It says lock. If you click on it so that there's no box around the word lock, then you are allowed to move things. And these dots are simply representative of microphones. So you can move things to suit your court and where everybody might be seated in your court. You might even want to say, well, everybody's just along this window here, so we need to move these people down, you know, and you can move things to your heart's content to reflect whatever it is that you want to see. If there's something that you don't want to see, you can double click on it and you can say, let's see, I think that you'd have to delete it probably. Let's see if I can just hit delete. There we go. So if I click on something and I click on the red X, it will delete it. So that's how you can delete something that you don't want there. And then once you're done making the changes, then you just want to click on lock. And you see the box around it, and now you cannot move anything. You can't move it. As a matter of fact, what you're doing, if you're noticing over here, I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording on and just show you that once you have got the lock on, you're actually able to mark. I don't think these additional speakers are marking. Only the ones that we've set up here are actually marking. So that may be a bug. Unless it's, no, these are all marking. Usually what will happen is if there's something that's not being marked through the keypad, then it's going to just mark the last thing you marked again. Yeah, that's what's happening. So I'll make a note of that. But everything that you have identified via the numeric keypad, you're able to mark via the seating chart. Now, in SpeechCAT, writers mark by voice. So there is no need to mark via a seating chart when you are in real time. However, I have had people ask, well, can that work? So it is on the wish list to make marking via the seating chart work, to mark in the notes window, not in the real-time screen. We can't do that because what will happen is you'll have a mark for what you said with your voice and a different mark for what you said with your mouse. And that's contradictory. We do not want to be contrary. One of the greatest things about our recordability, whether you are in DigiTran alone or SpeechCAT, is the ability to record and play back at the same time. Your F keys are very convenient, though some people don't have the ability to lock the F keys on their keypad, on their keyboard itself. And that's kind of a bummer, but that's not something I can control. When you can lock your F keys and thereby use them. F8 goes one up every time you hit F8. F9 goes one down. You can see it moving on the left in blue. F7 switches. Look at the channels up here. VR 1 and 2. Watch this. F7. Now 2 is selected. F7. VR is selected. F7. 1 is selected. F7. 2 is selected. Notice that when the number is selected, it also tells you this is room mic 2 and you're recording it via the internal sound card of the computer. This is room mic 1 and you're recording it through the Sound Blaster. This is totally wrong, by the way. The Sound Blaster, what you hear, it's supposed to be the microphone. And the VR is being recorded through the Sound Blaster Play. So it's giving you a lot of information right here. That's important to know. F5 is play. You can hit F7 and it's going to continue to play only from that other channel. And because I'm set up wrong, it's not recording very well on the other channels. So, but I am playing and recording at the same time. Now let's say I stop the playback and let's say that we need to go back to a different day to do a readback. This, I think, primarily addresses officials more than deposition reporters, but it's possible that deposition reporters may have a multiple day deposition and they might ask for them to go back a different day. But for officials, this is the bee's knees, in my opinion. So notice that we are recording. This button, which looks like a laptop with a gray speaker superimposed on the right side of it, if you point to it, it will say open for readback. We're going to click on that one time. And that is going to take us to our main menu. I'm going to slide that over here. It went to the other screen. And there is everything from my main menu. And one thing that you might want to pay attention to is that you need to make sure that the day you go to is not audio archived unless you have your archive attached to your computer, right? So luckily I do have some things that are not archived. So I'm going to go to here because I see that I've got an hour and 25 minutes. And so I'm going to select the job and I'm going to click on the only button there is, which is the open button. And it's going to open my job that I selected in scope. So here is my job in scope, and I'm going to go down the ways. Oh, I'm sorry, you previously testified that you didn't do any measurements. Let's see how accurate that is. I'm going to left click here because that's how I'm placing my cursor, okay? And then I'm gonna right click. No audio at that time. Left click, right click. No audio. Oops, would it help if there was... Let's see if there's anything on that track. Okay, it says that there's no audio. So it must have been something that somebody sent me. Let's try this one. Open. Now remember, we're recording this whole time. So if somebody starts to have a conversation, no worries, you got it. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I just did this one the other day, so how can there be no audio? Okay, I'm having technical difficulties that I think might be related to my configuration. So hang on just a minute. This is good though, actually. It will give you an insight into how I find out what could be causing this problem. When I have record time, that tells me generally that there is an audio file attached. So I have record time here. So let me go in to scope. Let's see if I can hear the audio there. Okay, I didn't ask it to load the speech engine, so I'm not sure why it's loading the speech engine. Perhaps some of you noticed on the Trailblazer support page that I'm getting a new computer. This is why. Okay, so I'm going to go and look at this job in Show Files. So I'm going to click on View, Show Files. Here is the room audio, and you can see that it says -1, which means that there's no audio there. So, because it's telling me that it's looking at C Court Reporter audio, I'm gonna need to find out if that's where it's going. So if I go to recording and I deselect use standard path and browse to one of my hard drives. Okay, so what I'm doing basically is telling it to go and look and attach itself to an external hard drive. And now if I go back, of course that's DigiTran. Okay, so here I am. Okay. Now there's plenty more jobs with record time because I was writing to the external drive. So now I'm just going to show you something. So here's a 19-minute job. I'm going to go to view and show files. Keeps popping over to my other screen. And now you see that I have audio files with sizes. And if I want to hear those files from right here, I can highlight it and go up here to where it says Open Sound File. And I can click on that, and it's going to open that file.
Open parentheses, 2, close parentheses, membership in the association, with 1 vote attribute, attributable to the owner of the...
Okay, so that one's fine. I'm going to go click on the room mic 1. I'm going to go open that. Doesn't sound like I was... Okay, I was just dictating out loud, it sounds like. So I can also open the other one. There you go. So that's how you can listen to audio files from the View Files window. You can see where the files are located by expanding the location column. See D, Program, Data, Audio Scribe, Court Reporter, Audio. That's where my audio is being stored. And the fact that you can see sizes tells you that when you go to open, you're going to hear it. If you want to see the name of the file with the extension, here it is. Like if somebody asks you to send them a specific day's audio and you just want to send one track of audio, this is where you would come look for, okay, what's the name of the file? You could identify which audio channel you want and what is the name of the file so that you can then go look for it and you can say, okay, look, here it is. It's on D, Program Data, Audio Scribe, Court Reporter, Audio. So if I bring up my File Explorer, I would literally go to find D. Here's my D, Program Data, Audio Scribe, Court Reporter, Audio. And there's all my audio. And I like to change the topics that it shows me. I like to see the date the file was created. And I like to see if it was modified. And I like to see the size of the file. Because a lot of these files can just be deleted, see? All the files that are 1 kilobyte, obviously there's nothing in them, so why even keep them? You know, that might be something that I started and never did anything with. So I could delete them from here because I know that they're absolutely useless. 1 kilobyte, I promise you, nothing's in it. Nothing. So there you go. So I can see my audio. I can go and look for the name of the audio file, you know. And this is a good way if you need to upload it for a court or something or for a judge to the server. It's real easy. You just go and you say, okay, let me find the file name that matches right here. And you can go and find it, 002, you know, or 003, you know, 002, you right click and copy or, you know, send to mail recipient, whatever. So that's how you find your actual files. Your dictation, what's listed under dictations, this is always your text files. So these are your files, whether it's in real time or scope. And then your presented documents, these are the documents that are in your word processor. So if you go to WordPerfect, your WordPerfect document locations are under presented documents. If you go to Word, it's under presented documents. So show files is a really, really handy place. And it's also where you go to create a gather logs. If you have a problem and I ask you to send a gather logs so I can figure out what's wrong, because your log actually gives me information that I couldn't otherwise get from you, because things that you aren't even aware is going on in the background of the software, SpeechCAT and DigiTran are making note of. And when we get those logs, we can say, oh, well, there's an error here, an error there. So we need to go look here in the program and there in the program. It helps us to be able to diagnose what's wrong and sometimes even build new solutions. So it's a really important place for us and for you. So now I'm going to return to our court day. My system was configured differently for court day, so it says that there's no record time, and that's because it was set to record just on the hard drive. So if I go there, it's going to think that it's a brand new document, and I can actually open it up even with SpeechCAT and DigiTran. So I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. And because I came through real time this time, it's not showing me my numeric keypad or my seating chart windows. My icons, I mean. And I'm just waiting for real time to open my user profile. Can there be more than 10 keys for the keypad? Right now, no, there are not. I guess because there's only, the 0 through 9. Now, sometimes we can use the other keys, like the plus and the minus. It's possible that we could use other keys. I will make a note to ask the programmer if other keys can be added. To the numeric keypad. Okay, so I believe that we have to open the seating chart from here, because when you are in SpeechCAT, you actually can still use a seating chart, because reporters asked us for it years ago. And so we put it in the software. I don't even know if anybody does use it, but when I use it in real time, I like to use it along the bottom. So I'm going to open a chart file. I think I have. There we go. So these are, you know, less fancy in terms of the way they're laid out, but it allows you to see a greater number of seats. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the mic, and let's see, it doesn't look like it's locked. So let me lock it. Oh, it needs to. I didn't save it. If you go and create a seating chart the night before, you can actually save it to the job. And then the next day when you get there, it'll be there. So if I save it to the job, then it'll have my markers there. There we go. I don't think that these actually mark though. Save to the job, but it's not acting as though it's locked. Okay. I don't know what the benefit is if we can't use them to mark. To me, that doesn't do us any good. Doesn't appear to be locking the table, even though it's saved to the job. So, bug there too. Okay, so I wanted to go to open for Readback and pick something with audio. So I'm gonna go over here, and there's a file with audio. And so I'm gonna go ahead and open. It's gonna switch track. Right, F7 will switch the audio track. Reformat answer, but not Alt or Q. See how it's or A like it's supposed to work. Literally, all I did was left click and right click. Reformat and answer, it's right there. Or Q and Alt or A like it's supposed to work. And you can do your readback. You can use Control F to find whatever. If they say, please find a certain term or word or something that was said, you can do that. And do your read back, and then simply close out. And that'll bring you back to the open for readback menu that lets you see all your jobs. You just, and note also that you can access both the current and the courtroom list from this open for readback thing, okay? So you can access both. Can you read back from the same track that you are recording on? Yes, you can, absolutely, but not from open for readback. During open for readback, you're actually reading from something that was already recorded. So you would have to come back to your current screen to do a readback from today. Does that make sense? Okay. And so we were recording the whole time. Dragon can be translating the whole time. It is not a problem. Know that you can add gain if you need it while you are recording, and you should be able to see immediately the results. When the results are bad, you will see it immediately. You saw it jump into the yellow and the red. Now it's in the green. I feel much better about that. Now, channel 1, I can bring up a little more and still not have it going into the green. That's what tells me that it's not the right device that's selected. And so just close it when you're done altering whatever you want to alter. You know, remember that if you've been recording and marking, and you want to get to the end, like let's say you do a readback, and during your readback, you went way up in the document. So you were way over here playing in the document, and you want your playback to go all the way to the end, then you can literally just click on jump to end. Why do you do that? Because if somebody asks you for a readback, they want generally a readback from just now. Now, there are going to be times that they want that readback from way the heck back there, right? But we're talking about a readback from, could you repeat that question? I didn't get it. You want to be as close to present as possible, which is why you would use the jump to end. And notice that it's in both windows. So jump to end in DigiTran means that you're going to the end of playback. Notice that recording and playback are very close. You're basically telling DigiTran, I want you to be playing back from as close as possible behind reality. And then over here it says, I want you to make sure you're writing text at the end and my playback cursor is at the end. So I'm ready to just hit F8 when I need to go to the last question, right? Because that's what you're usually going to want to be doing. So that is readback from multiple channels, open for readback. One other thing about open for readback. There's going to be plenty times that you are in court ahead of everybody else. And you're sitting there and you're there a good half hour before everybody else. You set up, you do your sound checks, you're done, you're happy, you're just waiting. Why not do something useful? Now, there are mornings when you want to visit with people. Great, visit. But there are other mornings when you've got a transcript hanging over your head. You've got it all typed, but you're in the proofing phase, and you just need to finish the darn proofing. Well, you can go to open for readback, and you can actually go to the main menu, go find the job that you need to proof and open it and proof. Now, I generally set all of you so that you have the right settings to be able to edit from open for readback. As long as you have that set to on, then you can actually be proofing a document. You can make changes. And then when everybody finally starts walking in, you just hit the save button, you close out, and you are ready to go. All you have to do is click on record. That's it. So that is very, very handy. You know, reporters pride themselves on being ready and being present and ready before everybody else. And I support you in that 110%, which is why we made the feature possible for you to edit. So let's just go and check our settings to make sure that your settings are set so that you can edit. Up here, well, I'm going to close out of real time. Let me just close out of the real time and get back to the main menu. And whether you are in SpeechCAT or DigiTran, you've got your options button on the main menu. This is what your options button looks like. It's also available inside of real time. It's available inside of scope. Okay, so if we make it a little bit wider, we go to preferences. Nope. I apologize. It's editing and scoping. You will see right about mid-page, open for readback allows edits. Please make sure that there is a check in that box. And that's all you need. If you click on apply, then you are good. I'm going to go to the recording tab and just remind you that you get to tell DigiTran or SpeechCAT where you want your recordings to be placed. And when you have use standard audio path selected, it's going to go to see program data, audio scribe, court reporter, then DigiTran or it'll either be court reporter for real time for SpeechCAT or DigiTran for DigiTran, and then the audio folder. And so you can assign audio folders to different drives, as I was talking about earlier. And in SpeechCAT, I'm assigned to a different drive. Here, it's still going to the same drive. So I would want to go to D and program data and audio scribe, court reporter. Let's see, I'm in DigiTran, so still go to court reporter and audio and okay and apply. And that's how you know all of your audio is going to be stored on a different drive from there on out. You have to know that your files will all have to be moved if you choose to do that. So if you want to write to a different drive, that's something that you should call me and we should do that together, because otherwise it can be very scary to you. Trust me. It'll be very scary because it'll look like all your jobs disappeared when actually they're just living in a different place. So I'll just show you that now it shows all the jobs that I took with SpeechCAT, because now my SpeechCAT and DigiTran files are going to the same place. So very convenient for me, but for you it would show just nothing. So that would be scary. So what we've talked about this week is your USB devices, your audio in Windows and in the sound setup. Next week, well, actually, I think we have enough time to do it right now, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Right at the bottom of your screen, we all have a little magnifying glass, little search window, and if we type in that search window, device manager, it will bring up our device manager. We can also click on the windows, we can go to settings, and we can get to device manager from settings as well. I'll go to devices. Let me just type in device manager up here. Okay, and here's the device manager. Now, the device manager shows you, most importantly, your USB devices. Your USB devices that say USB hub are the ones that really matter. The ones that say composite device do not have power management tabs. But if you go to one that says USB hub and you right click and you go to properties, you will see that there is a power management tab. On the power management tab, it is crucial that there is no check in the box that says allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. We do not want that. Make sure there's no check in that and click on OK. I go to everything that has the word hub in it and I check. I'll do this once every few weeks, just randomly check it, because Windows can come and check them. Like if I uninstall a device and reinstall a device, it's going to come and check them again. So I'm just going to everything that says hub, looking for power management, making sure it's unchecked. If it doesn't have the word hub in it, chances are there will be no power management. I'll just show you a composite device so that you can see that there's no power management tab. And once you've made sure that all the hubs have no power management set, you're good. I do want to point out to you that if you have a problem with one of your USB devices, you can come to Device Manager and look under Sound, Video, and Game Controllers. And it's highly likely that if one of your devices have gone bad, there will be a yellow triangle, like a caution with an exclamation point. That generally means that the device needs an updated driver, or there's a driver update waiting for it. If you click on that device and then you click on Properties, and then you go to the Drivers tab, you can look at the date of the driver. The date of this driver for my webcam is 2012. That's pretty old. So you can say, well, let's see if maybe I can update this driver. I'm going to go ahead and search automatically for the driver online, because they usually have the more current drivers. Now it could come back and say that it's already got the right driver. Or it could come back and say, hey, we found a newer driver for your device. Do you want to install it? Here we go. The best drivers for your device are already installed. So now I know the best drivers for that device are good. So I can just close. But if ever you have generally that yellow triangle with the exclamation point, if you see that in your device manager, it is 75 to 90% of the time because it needs a driver update. That other percentage, it's bad. The device has gone bad. And you can usually generally tell if it says that the device is missing, then the computer's not recognizing it anymore. So that's power management settings for your USB devices. Very, very important thing to know and check, especially after you notice that your computer has done a Windows update. And always know what your Windows update is or what your version is. If you click on the Start button and you go to Settings, you can type in Windows and it'll immediately come and say check for updates. And you can see that it has done an update and it's waiting to restart to complete my update. So probably once we're done and after the video uploads, then I'll restart. But I don't want to restart now because I'm in the middle of a class. There are going to be times when you can't, it's not a good time to restart. And that's perfectly fine to say pause it and I'll do it next time I restart or whatever. So just know that it's always good to know when you have updates to do. And then if you want to know what version of Windows you are on, if you click on the little magnifying glass and you type in WINVER and you hit enter, it's going to come up and show you this. Microsoft Windows. My version is 1903, build 18362.388. That's going to change when I restart my computer, and the update that's waiting now is installed. But always good to know what version you have, because a lot of times problems are directly related to certain Windows versions. So it's always good to know. Well, ladies, I'm going to unmute you real quick. And let's see. Participants, mute all, unmute all. Okay, I just wanted to give you the chance to ask any question.
I apologize. I got the Eastern and Central wrong.
Oh, no worries, Mary. You'll see the whole video.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Questions, anybody?
Oh, Andrea, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. When I was asking about adding buttons, I see that when you select the down arrow, it just allows you to select speakers 1 through 9, and I wonder if you could just add more speakers, not necessarily more buttons.
Oh, okay, more speakers in the numeric keypad window?
Right.
Okay.
You have to press the unmute button, Kim, from your computer too. Even though she unmuted you, you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you ladies showing up. And I look forward to next week. If you have any questions, or if there's anything you'd like me to cover, please email me about it during the week. If you know now, I'll take suggestions for next week.
I'll send you an email this week.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's class and wish you all a very happy Saturday.
Thank you. You too.
Andrea, are you going to call me, or am I supposed to call you to work with you after? I don't know that I have your number.
I have yours, Mary, so I'll call you.
Okay, give me a few minutes to set it all up.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adrian.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Okay.